The video that started it all. No flashy project announcement, no high-profile appearance, just one Instagram video. That's all it took to light a match under Meghan Markle's public image. What she hoped would be a moment of humor and relatability spiraled into a public relations meltdown. The video, intended as a lighthearted take on motherhood, instead came across as painfully rehearsed and awkward. From stiff dance moves to an oddly spotlighted baby bump, nothing landed as planned. Viewers were confused, executives were alarmed, and just like that, what remained of her media credibility started to unravel.
These two have sold their souls, and they've sold Harry's family down the river. It's unforgivable, and it will leave a bitter taste in the mouths of millions of people. So we can hear from those PAs, who I know at least one of them was regularly reduced to tears by the bullying from Meghan Markle. And if Meghan doesn't think she did bully, of course she can sue me.
Immediate aftershocks. The fallout was swift. Netflix, home to her docuseries With Love, Meghan was caught completely off guard. Greg Peters, Netflix's co-CEO, reportedly had an instant negative reaction, calling for internal reviews. Even Ted Sarandos, long considered more sympathetic toward Meghan, started rethinking the whole partnership. Paramount didn't hesitate. They cut ties entirely. And while Meghan's team tried to spin the video as bold and authentic, the media wasn't buying it.
The universal human condition, out of all of my friends who have become mothers, I can't think of a single one who has said, oh, wow, it's exactly what I expected. I'm nailing it. It's so good. I know exactly what I'm doing. And this child has fitted seamlessly into my pre-existing life, which has required no changes at all.
Neither were her fans. A studio panicked behind the scenes. There was chaos. Netflix scrambled to manage the backlash, but it wasn't just about PR anymore. Executives began questioning the viability of future collaborations. Test screenings for With Love, Meghan Season 2 showed dismal results. Focus groups found the new season disjointed, with many calling it preachy and unwatchable. Some inside Netflix reportedly pushed for shelving the show altogether. In an industry driven by numbers, the Meghan brand wasn't just cooling, it was ice cold. Fan base collapse. Once, Meghan's defenders flooded comment sections with hearts and hashtags, but post-video that support began vanishing. Social media was no longer filled with glowing praise, but critical takes and questions. Influencers who once aligned themselves with her started backing away. Former fans deleted posts, distanced themselves, and joined the chorus asking, what happened? Even her most loyal audience seemed to hit a point of no return. The baby bump debate. And then there was the bump. Observers noticed something off. The shape, the movement, the continuity. Conspiracy theories exploded online. Some called it a wardrobe fail, others weren't so kind. Whatever the case, the reaction wasn't sympathetic. The video didn't feel like a slice of life moment. It felt staged. And in an era where authenticity is everything, that can be lethal to someone trying to build trust and relatability. Her response and the new narrative. Rather than let the moment pass, Meghan responded with a long, emotionally charged statement. She described the video as an effort to reclaim joy in motherhood and challenge outdated stereotypes. She insisted it was an act of empowerment. But sincerity didn't translate. Her version of truth clashed with public perception. Her message about playful parenting fell flat, especially coming from someone insulated by wealth and resources far removed from the average viewer's reality. Executive clashes. Behind the scenes at Netflix, the atmosphere grew tense. Greg Peters, sharply critical from the start, was adamant that the platform needed to sever ties immediately. He believed the backlash wasn't just a PR hiccup, it was a sign of deeper structural issues with the entire Meghan project. From over-budget episodes to lackluster engagement metrics, the numbers didn't justify the noise. Ted Sarandos, on the other hand, continued to show support. Sources suggest he felt that the controversy could still be spun into engagement. Maybe Meghan could weather the storm, reclaim her voice, and flip the narrative. But that optimism wasn't shared across the board. Her content strategists reportedly flagged her show as a long-term risk, citing declining viewer retention and a sharp dip in favorability ratings. Then came Meghan's own lobbying efforts. According to insiders, she made a direct push for a third season, even though the second hadn't been released yet. She positioned it as her chance to reset the story. It wasn't just a proposal, it was pressure. Meghan reportedly leveraged every relationship she had within the company, calling in favors, organizing private meetings, even suggesting cross-brand promotional ideas with other Netflix properties. But not everyone was buying it. Internally, there were growing concerns that her influence, once seen as a potential brand booster, was now more of a distraction. Even some of Sarandos's closest advisors began urging him to step back. Netflix wasn't just dealing with a controversial celebrity, they were dealing with an unpredictable brand identity crisis. And at the center of it all stood Meghan, still pushing, still betting on a comeback that fewer and fewer people believed in. Industry shutout. When the doors began closing, Meghan didn't slow down. She pivoted hard into networking mode, trying to keep her momentum alive outside of Netflix. Insiders say she floated multiple proposals to MTV, Disney+, Hulu, and even approached podcasting powerhouses with new concepts. The pitches ranged from reality formats to inspirational docuseries, each designed to showcase her as a modern, empowered voice for women and parents. But Hollywood has a long memory, and word spreads fast. Executives had seen the headlines, read the social chatter, and watched the backlash unfold. One studio exec, speaking off the record, said, "Taking her on now would be like walking into a fire with gasoline." Even those intrigued by the creative pitches were turned off by the controversy baggage. The risk-reward equation just didn't add up anymore. Brands, too, were pulling back. Collaborations once in discussion quietly disappeared, invitations to panels and red carpets dried up. Meghan, once considered a symbol of modern royalty and global resonance, now found herself treated like a volatile asset. A year ago, her name meant media attention. Now it meant unpredictable noise. Her persistence is undeniable. She's clearly willing to fight for her place in the spotlight, but persistence doesn't guarantee results. When every door you knock on is met with hesitation or silence, it stops being about bad timing and starts becoming a trend. The reality is stark. Meghan Markle is no longer seen as a guaranteed win in the industry. She's a wild card, one that fewer and fewer decision makers are willing to bet on. The monologue, if there was any doubt left, her recent solo podcast sealed it. No interviewer, no context, just Meghan talking to a mic for nearly an hour. She referred to herself in the third person and painted herself as a misunderstood icon. But what was supposed to be a heartfelt monologue turned into a portrait of someone unwilling to see past her own narrative. Instead of opening up in a way that connected, she doubled down on the idea that everyone else was simply wrong. Critics didn't hold back. They said the episode was more of a performance than a conversation. There was no humility, no moment of reflection, just more self-justification. For someone facing a crumbling support base, the move felt oddly defiant and out of sync with reality. Audiences aren't just looking for content, they're looking for authenticity, and what they heard didn't sound real. It sounded calculated. It sounded like an echo chamber, with Meghan as both speaker and audience. Her insistence that the world still doesn't know the real Meghan only added to the perception that she's caught in her own PR bubble. You don't earn trust by telling people they're wrong for not trusting you. And yet, that's exactly what it felt like. A lecture, not a conversation. The takeaway? Even Meghan's attempts at vulnerability are being met with skepticism. Not because people hate her, but because they're tired of being asked to clap for something that no longer feels grounded in truth. Where this ends, and now, as with Love, Meghan season 2 inches toward release. It does so under a cloud of uncertainty. There's no press tour, no viral teaser, no buzz, just silence. Netflix is barely promoting it, almost like they're embarrassed. And maybe they are. The energy inside the platform has reportedly shifted. Meghan, once considered a valuable voice, is now seen as a liability with diminishing returns. There's tension at the top, but also fatigue. Everyone's waiting to see if the backlash dies down, but it hasn't. Meanwhile, Meghan continues to push. She's making calls, setting up interviews, floating new pitches, still fighting to stay relevant. But there's a fine line between resilience and denial, and she's drifting dangerously close to the latter. Her brand was built on challenging norms, speaking out, being bold, but now it's defined by missteps, deflections, and a refusal to adapt. The saddest part, she may genuinely believe this is all part of her comeback arc. That one more speech, one more episode, one more post will turn the tide. But the tide isn't turning. The culture has moved on. The platforms have moved on. Even her former allies in the press are shifting gears, not out of cruelty, but out of exhaustion. Meghan Markle isn't being silenced. She's being ignored. And in the world of media and influence, silence isn't the enemy. Irrelevance is. When your content no longer stirs conversation, when your name no longer sparks curiosity, you're not in the spotlight. You're in the rear view. The question isn't whether she'll bounce back. The question is whether she'll realize the audience is gone before she spends her last ounce of credibility chasing after it.